in somewhat of a healthy position. Even if all things end now, the amount of points that teams like Acorn and Colt and above have earned is looking pretty good.
A little bit more respect here coming out of Huddy and Kovacs, though. Sky Scroll, they're actually going to take over the second floor here at the mansion at Rebel's Roost. And the biggest advantage right now for Sky is the fact that he's managed to find Sovereign Shotgun, but at the same time, there's a hammer pump here for Kovacs, and both of these duos, I think, acknowledging the fact that if they take a little bit more time to loot, it could go slightly better. But this could be disastrous. MrSavage, Bugha, they already started to get a little bit more caught up than they would have liked. They dropped 3 placements after the results of that last lobby and find themselves currently situated in 8th. And Alex Worthy, they're trying to make them sure that they're the first team to fall even.
Yeah, Alex has a lot of HP here, but Worthy's a little worse for wears. Worthy falls, and we've already seen one 1v2 today. Let's not make it another. Power Alex is already pushing the agenda here. Well played for Australia's Alex and Worthy from Team Power, putting up the numbers. And you know, if things continue to go that way, they'll see themselves in a good standing, but you can see it's not easy by any means to get the first drop in the first weapon. And talk about tough fights that could have went any way. Acorn and Cold seem to have had things slightly favor them this time around.
Yeah, but at the same time, Cold losing Acorn and Alex and Sado may have done just enough damage. Fortunately for Cold, he is looking relatively undisturbed here at Brutal Beachhead, but any of those other teams lingering around that southern zone in the desert area happen to catch wind of the fact that Cold is a solo, and the reboot ban might be the biggest heads-up opportunity there. Could be disastrous, but Alex, Worthy, the Power Fellows, they don't even get to rejoice in their celebration of coming out on top because Agers and Rise have arrived to the party.
So have Batman, Bugha, and Rapid coming from the high ground there, finding tags onto Rise, almost saving the day at this point for Team Power. Agers, DT, Rise now have to back off, unaware of what all happened here. Meanwhile, Alex saves his trusty teammate here.
He's got the stairway to heaven up there, though, man. That's kind of insane. Restored Reels certainly getting relatively active, but Alex Worthy probably just happy about the fact that they're going to have an opportunity to keep this one going. Stronger in numbers for sure. Vico and Pxlarized, though, they seem like they've really been heating up. Shadow hoping that he can cool them off, but Vico at the same time, he knows so much damage has been done, but he's going to find himself on the receiving end this go-round. It's all down to Pxlarized to clutch up.
Pxlarized is very good, but going against Shadow here, I do think Shadow is an extremely strong box fighter. The edits come in, though. Look at how fast Pxlarized manages to respond, but still Shadow with the better shots overall. And now a time to heal here. Pxlarized has to respect this duo now, and I think he knows that. Tries to go up to find and secure his elimination. Can he track it back here is the question. Seems like he knows where it is, more or less.
At the very least, I think Pxlarized wants to ensure that whether or not he wins his exchange between himself and Shadow. In fact, Virgo had all the goodies that Pxlarized could have possibly wanted. It was a med kit that came out of the body loot. So pressure is on now for Shadow. Very high likelihood that Virgo was able to communicate. He got my med kit. And so that means that Shadow has got to act fast if he wants to prevent Pxlarized from reaching 200 HP again.
He also gets the material, right, which Shadow only has 2 mats of now. So what was once a very promising situation for Shadow is not looking like that anymore. Tfue Shadow gets the first tag put on him. It's not looking good anymore. The jump shot is no good, and Pxlarized clutches up. And there's not a duo in sight at the moment, so he should be able to save Vico. And I know we put the focus on Vico and his potential, but now you can see he is equally met with a very strong partner.
But you know that every single one of these players has got their eyes set on that elimination feed as well. So for PeterBot and Pollo, they might have at least some slight indication that there's been trouble, at least in match number 5 here for Vico and Pxlarized. They could look to try and circumvent this route that Vico and Pxlarized traditionally like to go after and potentially cut them off. Maybe even look to ensure that they can maintain that first place position if you take out second.
This update right now that we're getting onto Clicks and Vino, who's on the move here. Just north of the Sandy Steps, but they're seeming to double back. Something wasn't right up there. They're backing on off now. A lot of material to make up for here, so bit of a scrappy start. No eliminations tell us that the Australian team of Damo and Resigns escaped the drop. Meanwhile, Victor V and Paper possibly in a fight against Chapentini here shortly.
Wow, talk about Medkit Nation though for Victor V. Chapentini are gonna have their work cut out for them if they wanna take up an exchange here between Paper and Victor V. But most importantly still, Paper and Victor V, they have amassed so many boxes surrounding this forecast tower. Chapentini were looking to try and take down for the forecast keycard first, but immediately Paper, Victor V, look at a collapse. Chap fully cracked Victor V. Paper, no, they've got the advantage. Teeny actually gonna get pincered instantaneously, and now Chap trying to see if he can save his own life.
Almost put through a full edit course right there. Victor V at 3 eliminations right now. Flexing how good of a player he really is. Don't let his face fool you. He has experience under his belt. Chat, clearly better on the standings at the moment, but not by much. It's a point separating them now, as these 3 eliminations have really jumped them up. And look, it's all for everything, right? They have the card that they need for the rest of the Storms here. Chap has to just back off at this point, otherwise he'll start to lose his tournament opportunity here. Game 5 being very late into the day. These are the last chances to set yourselves up with points here, so you got to put your ego aside.
Well, you say Chap might need to back up, but with the way that Rise and Agers are closing in, Paper, sure, he's going to confirm that forecast for himself and Victor V, but at the same time, if they're not careful on the disembark from the forecast tower, Flaming Boost Tube could pose some issues. It seems like Rise and Agers were setting up in a position to try and protect it, try and maybe get a knock-on elimination for any teams looking to take it.
Now, all things considering, the point gap between 6 to top 20 is very, very close. Things start to jump up towards the top 5, so even a team like Paper and Victor V have a lot of opportunity here to really ramp up. Meanwhile, Thomas HD just giving us a show, showing us what he can do with that Monarch pistol. He does it without the scope this time around, so all the more impressive.
That makes me sick to my stomach watching Thomas HD use any sort of sniper-esque weapon, you know? Even though it's the Monarch pistol at the same time. He's just so pinpoint accurate, it's ridiculous, but Batman Bugha, Rapid, they're trying to get a little bit of an uprisal here, and Rapid, he's got visuals in his sights, beautiful right side peek, perfect moment to open up, but visuals immediately looking to retreat. And he's gonna go side by side, hip to hip one more time with his duo.
Great tag there for Rapid to set them up, a big 108, but Visuals climbs his way back into a fighting stance here. Clearly, they're not content for fighting for this position here of the bunker. They back off. Bugha and Aviv, we get the early update with them for the first time to really see what is unfolding for Bugha. No shotgun. Oh wait, yeah, he does. Got a little loadout going on here. Aviv as well on the move right now.
It's a nice rotation so far off the launch pad from the peak of that mountain, but the main difference that I've noticed in Bugha and Aviv's game in comparison to what we saw, for example, coming from NA Major 3, typically they like to be aggressive towards the team that is landing on Piney Lane, but that has not been an option for them this game because Toyota and Mifali, they're just not willing to take that exchange. They're bailing, they're getting their loot and immediately looking to rotate out, so it's not really leaving Bugha and Aviv anyone left nearby. They're having to forcibly create these storm surge situations, and it's not easy to acquire those tags by any means. You miss one shot, that could be the difference between above or below that damage threshold.
That is true, and speaking about big differences, PeterBot and Boyo just got their hands in on that bunker. Let's not forget the bunker will give you access to that modification bench to change your weapons, right? To get yourself nice and comfortable. And now that they have that, they'll likely be looking for the Rift Island to go ahead and take a fight. Meanwhile, Pxlarized and Ovation Vico back in the game, as healthy as ever when things were almost fading away for a moment there here in game number 5. But they're in first place, they're in the lead, and they're looking pretty situated now.
And they're going straight back to home base. Little do they know, though, King Phaser could be a very problematic circumstance, depending on the approach there for Vico and Pxlarized, but still inside, deep the storm. Muzz and Epic Whale. Decent amount of material count, though, but it looks like Muzz is gonna have to lose at least one of these medkits along the way, fully intending to just locate what he can inside of the bunker, maybe even make use of that weapon mods bench.
Back on over to the other draw spot, though, with Vico and Pxlarized here. It's the landing home. Let's see it, though. King and Phaser playing the low ground right now instead of opting for a little bit of a stronger position. So I'm almost calling bait here, but given his stance, all of a sudden, yeah, things switch around really quickly here. King looking for an opportunity, but no. Drop, trying to run here. Phaser must have called back off, and it's not working well. Not right now for them. Vico and Pxlarized still on the pulse here. Phaser barely gets up to that next layer.
Every shot that Vico lands, it's almost like he's directly telling whoever he's up against, scram. But at the same time, where can King and Phaser actually run to? They are trapped. Vico and Pxlarized know Reckless Railways like the back of their hands. And sure, I'm aware that King and Phaser, they're bound to have good knowledge as well of the POI, but to the same extent as Pxlarized and Vico, one of the main takeaways that I got from last night listening to Vico in the player room was him saying, nobody plays Reckless Railways right. We are the only ones that understand this POI, and when somebody is that confident in their knowledge, that's a serious threat.
Yeah, you saw he had every angle. He knew where to cut them off, basically within the building, the structure, and they knew better than to push into the railway itself, given all the cover that's there. So happy with the damage. Meanwhile, Clix and Vino, though, on the move here. Again, no strangers to the storm here. We saw them double back after going north to try to find some tags. Now they're looping their way, again, south and then into the new zone. Everything's starting to piece together. Meanwhile, the standings, one of our top 10 teams are down. Just for that update there, Bugha and MrSavage is that team. Look at this, though. Swizzy, Jacko, from a dub into a fight here, landing on visuals and braids now. Looking for the big shot, didn't quite get the maximum damage, but still gets the finish off visuals there. And all that material, they are right back into it.
The most important part as well for Swizzy and Yapko is that time to elimination was so fast. It's not going to give a real opportunity for, say, somebody like Yuma in the distance to actually have a chance to play catch-up, look to third-party opportunity, because it appears as though Yuma might even be in that solo situation, and when that's the case, you're always hoping that you can kind of just stumble upon an engagement already taking place, maybe get some shots in that might allow you an opportunity to go for a little bit of siphon materials, a knock, an elimination, points, placements. It's really what everybody is after right now.
Thomas HD and Queasy, damage numbers looking phenomenal right now. I don't think there's anyone beating them in the game here at this given moment. Moving around, though. This is the Mount Olympus, right? Home of Quanti and Gone. Should very likely be up top somewhere. Look at this. You got Janice here. You have Kramsu. A lot of the Brazilian teams there. Persa and Ed.
Little bit of a giggle because if the one surge base wasn't enough, Trulex and Chicho have evolved yet again into maintaining two separate surge bases even. Meanwhile, Aviv Bugha tangled up a little bit here right now with Swizzy, but we've seen Swizzy perform already once today, MTF. In a 1 versus 2, and this time he still got his duo with them, but most importantly still, Aviv Bugha, they're trying to do what they can to break through some of these builds, but they're just gonna find themselves cut off. They're not able to actually cross the gap just yet because Bugha also needed ample opportunity to make sure that he could regenerate his shields off of what heals they have left, but that's gonna be more than enough room for Yapko and Swizzy to just full on disengage.
Bugha and Aviv don't chase either. They just let them go. So it's telling. It shows us that they want another one of those end games. They need another one of those end games, and they can't toss it away. It's a chance for them to go ahead and do just that. But they do need more damage. But talk about that. It seems like Swizzy rotates right into Bryce and Bolt. So not too much longer do they fall. But PeterBot and Pollo, the Rift Island, we already know. They hit the mod bench, they're set up, and then straight to the Rift Island every single time here. And now Shari is so low. Storm Surge going to be giving them a big problem here in the coming moments.
The worst part is knowing that it's PeterBot and Pollo. Every time that reveal medallion goes off, it's every 50 seconds, by the way. And again, teams are marked, players are marked for 15 seconds after the fact. That is so much information, and in the hands of somebody like PeterBot and Pollo, it can be devastating for the rest of the lobby. But Cherry, he's managed to find an isolation moment. Worthy trying to do what he can, but the Storm might take him out as is. Instead, Cherry diverts his attention to another Oshi player, and he is going to find Damo in the mix. Couple of knocks, couple of eliminations. Couldn't have come at a more perfect time.
Look at this, though. The setup from Aviv and Bugha after rotating. They find Swizzy again, so Swizzy was knocked, picked up, and then ultimately falls back to the hands of Aviv here. You can see, yes, 2 eliminations, so starting to really heat up now. Bugha and Aviv come the late half of the tournament. Wait a second, though. Storm Surge is active now. Damage is starting to add up here. Even with that elimination there, they will need a single tag. These are the chances, and when you miss them, it does end up catching up to you. Down goes Bugha to the Surge. The next tag will take down Aviv, and you know it's over.
It's a tough break. Devastating one potentially, but at the same time, the mental bounce back, the mental fortitude that players like Aviv and Bugha are sure to compose themselves with. See how they bounce back in the final match of day 1 here today, but more importantly still, all these other duos, all these other players that still remain, Monster, Skrull, Sky, trying to scale their way down, but crossing bodies of water, knowing that there's teams already set up on elevation, shots just pouring in from multiple directions, and you're still trying to maintain focus for an open opportunity. Skrull can't even take any sort of chance to heal. He knows that if he pauses one moment too long, that's where he'll be taken down. The build count just not where it needs to be. Handful of armored walls remain now for Sky. He's still trying to see if he can get one more shot in. Any sort of a break at this point, but essentially MDF, it looks like they're about to fall just outside the placement point zone.
Yeah, he's got Batman Bugha coming right at him as well. Doesn't quite find a chance to find the tag there. Someone else snipes the elimination there too, and all focus starts to aim towards him, but 46 above here, doesn't hold on long, and he just gets melted right out of the game. Meanwhile, Reet and Ritual are down. Rapid and Batman Bugha don't survive the rotate, as you saw there, and so much of the immediate competition, our bubble teams are falling. That's gonna make for a very interesting last game of day number 1, given how close it's gonna be point-wise. So we're gonna see a lot of changes come that last round, but Vino and Clicks holding on by a sliver here.
This is too close for comfort, though. Clicks and Vano have practically no space to work with. They've got 2 separate teams underneath them. Their only saving grace being the fact that PeterBot, Pollo nearby, getting those marked indications from that reveal medallion. That's going to be enough for them to emphasize focus onto Reason's box. But again, Acorn, Cold, directly underneath where Clicks and Vano are currently at, and they are looking to be in a much more situated position here. This is tough stuff.
But look who's got high ground again. Flixie and Vico take the chance here while everyone's playing passively boxed up. They snipe up a strong spot, and they already have the marker set up for another high ground spot. And you can tell they're playing for wins here. This is all win condition setups. Meanwhile, Vino and Clicks struggling here below the surge, need damage, they need health. And it's a very healthy Vico and Pxlarized above them, so not an easy duo by any means, but they don't have that information.
Veno knows that they don't really have much of a choice at this point. They've got to jump into just about anyone's box if they want to keep this Game 5 run going strong, because a refresh is a necessity at this point. The material count entirely too low. They need heals as well. And they're not going to find it unless they eliminate somebody else. But overhead, Vico catches a glimpse of Clicks. Takes out a huge chunk of his HP, but at the same time, Clicks actually does wind up falling, and Veno meets a similar fate. Just no escape from the top end of the leaderboard.
And they just play so smart. Vico and Pxlarized use those armored walls perfectly to bait them around, and then right when you think they're not interested in fighting, they get at the top on the Vino and Clicks there, and you know, it's just excellent defense, and clearly they're playing so well. It's hard to compete against that. And talking about that, PeterBot and Boyo continue to find eliminations. Take a look at the replay here. While all of that was unfolding, they find threats with the finish there. Now that's 3 elims, another end game, inching its way towards them now, as we're almost to zone number 9. Big moves here for PeterBot. They're going to give up the high ground a little bit here to play the low front side. Very interesting strategy given that they had mats to work with, but too many teams are alive for their liking, it seems.
Also, the natural elevation possibly working against their favor for the time being. They don't want to get caught off guard, much of a similar fashion the way that they've been catching other teams off notice. But Thomas HD, Queasy, they can see all these teams sliding down the mountain face. Trapsu and Clone doing what they can to survive. Similar circumstance there for Cooper as PeterBot and Boyo continue to pressure against his walls. But just behind, PeterBot saw Victor V and Paper as well. Could be some big fights taking place soon on the low ground.
Let's not forget Kovacs and Huddy were taken out in the drop last game. They were in 4th coming into that round before slipping down the standings now, showing us just how consistent they really are, coming right back into things. Meanwhile, Queasy pushing their way through. Down goes Cooper, looking for the finish. He'll get it. Khanada forced to run up to another layer here. And they might not be in a spot to win the game just yet, but they are racking up a lot of points now once again, coming into the final rounds here for day number 1. Chicho and Trulex, another end game for them as well. Teams just showing their stride. It's very clear who's had good performances here today. Acorn and Cole get chopped out by Pxlarized and Vico. They are just the talk of the town right now.
Vico, Pxlarized, PeterBot, Boyo, they just seemingly operate at a different level altogether currently, and everybody else just trying to play catch-up. Chicho, Trulex, they caught wind of Epic Well, but Epic Well doing what he can. It's an even exchange, down to just Trulex versus Muzz. But the question is, will he even manage to find that? Instead, Kovacs gonna opt to play the medkit. It's all down to just placement opportunity at this point.
And then you have Boyo and PeterBot still alive right now, still kicking here. This is the only competition besides Acorn and Cold who can obviously rack up enough points to give everyone a run for their money. Bryce and Bolts are setting up for the high ground win, while Boyo, PeterBot, Vico, Pxlarized are fighting for eliminations closer to the low ground now. And they might just clash here in the moments to come as they're standing on opposite ends of the low ground position here. Boyo pressuring everyone nearby. Pxlarized down, Vico down as well. To the hands of the teams on the other side as well. And look at this, the low ground spot for PeterBot and Boyo, just so content, but now they're looking for high ground.
But the real winners of that exchange, Queasy, Thomas, Vico, Pxlarized, they all eliminate each other, so now it's just up to Boyo and PeterBot to see what they can do. Bolt and Bryce, though, firm grasp of the high ground, doing what they can to just try and shred through the players underneath. Dukes scrambling, barely managing to throw up some wood above his head, keep him safe for the time being. But at the same time, PeterBot and Boyo, they are titans on this low ground currently.
So PeterBot has to get an elimination here and then go for high ground if he wants to do something, but These teams are not making it easy. Meanwhile, Wox and Pings are getting active from the low ground, though the shots are coming in. PeterBot and Boyo find the first few, and there's still points to be earned here, and Boyo wants them all. It's gonna make a huge, huge difference here. Secures the material count as well. That's gonna set PeterBot up for just enough. Bolts and Bryce have been here before. Bryce specifically has won games in person on land. I called it before. This is the team that you have to look out for. They are so talented. However, PeterBot and Boyo just, I mean, they've been ahead of the pack so far.
But PeterBot and Boyo, they got the most recent refreshes. Granted, everyone's building, everyone's burning through it, but Boyo strikes first. Bryce is gonna fall. PeterBot understanding it's all down to Bolts to try and clutch this one up, but it's PeterBot and Boyo after all.
Bolts has been here, though. He knows what to do. Don't give him a chance to heal. You have to fight back. Armored walls come out. They have a little bit more map, but PeterBot has too much to work with. Another armored wall. Bolts has an angle. Can he get him? No! PeterBot won't drop him twice.
PeterBot and Boyo strike yet again on the day. Match number 5, and the victory royale belongs to them. First place continuing to extend itself, and that is the real difference maker here today, MDF. We can see our big winners on the screen right now, and Adam's there.
Would you please, Fort Worth, make some noise again for PeterBot and Boyo! Oh, do you know what? I love those. I love those moments because this crowd wanted that to happen. Boyo, the Flowberry push there. You guys were low ground. You pushed on through. Talk us through the moment there and when you make that call and how that happens between you guys.
Yeah, I think it was the zone pulled back, so we had like old builds to use to go up, and I was able to get like a good angle to kill one.
Elimination-wise as well, you guys are consistent there. Standings as well. PeterBot, how would exactly? I'm sure there's so many aspiring Fortnite players here as well. It's just constant for you guys. Major wins. What is the magic, the secret sauce that is really making you guys, ensuring you get to these top spots right now?
I'm not gonna lie, we have the Mythic every season, you know what I'm saying? And me with the Mythic, I'm just unstoppable, you know what I'm saying? I get so many eliminations and stuff, so yeah.
Dangerous, dangerous out there. As well, I'm going to talk about that being this experience right now because you guys have been consistent. We're going to see, I'm sure, a lot more over the course of this weekend. Boyo, what's it been like for you as well? You feel the crowd out there. One more time, Fort Worth, let them hear you guys. It's for you, buddy. They're amazing, by the way. And I mean, this must be a lot of wind in your sails as well. How does it feel to be performing in front of this crowd here at Global Championships?
It feels amazing, especially getting a win. It's like hype, and then like on the walkout, everyone is cheering for us. Yeah, it feels great.
Okay, and I want you one more time. Anything you want to say to people, to the crowd right now, to get them even more hype than they are already?
Hey, I appreciate you guys, and yeah, we're winning this right now.
There you go. Give it up for PeterBot and Boyo! GG's, fellas. Again, lots more to get excited about here. These guys crushed it. I'm sure they'll continue to do so. Lots more games to go, though. One more left today. After the break, it's coming your way. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you in a sec.